Trollord Games. Join the
You want me to start talking now, Chuck?
This is supposed to be professional.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
Let me do a sound check
Oh, look
real
at you.
quick.
You did get it all set up. It's all fancy looking.
I love you, so you know.
Well, there you go. Well, here we are.
How about a sound
What
check?
is this? March 16th. Doing a sound check. Can everybody hear me? Red circle. So now I can't move that red circle, right, Chuck?
No, you will tell me to do it, and I'll be your slave.
Got it.
So you get to test my knowledge of Aihrde. This won't go well. So the key to this is cardinal directions.
All right, I will go with that. I'm trying to shrink this window so I can see what the Sam Hill is going on.
Yeah, I need to put you over here too.
Why didn't we do this in Discord?
Because we were worried about messing. We will be doing it the rest of the weekend, I think. We need to.
Trying to. Okay, that should work right there for what I need. All right, excellent. Sort of. All right, yes, well, we're still obviously boot scooting things around here, trying to figure out how to set up this screen. We are here tonight to talk about Aihrde. We had originally hoped to get all of the guys and gals who played in what we call here at Trollord the big game. We had hoped to get all of them over here and on camera and on Discord, so we could all have a sit down and you guys could meet these people who played characters who kind of helped weave the entire tapestry of Aihrde. But we had most of them lined up last week, and they started falling out one by one as life overtook them, as tends to happen from time to time, especially in these busy days of working from home. It's interesting. The dynamic, I think, has changed quite a bit, so it's fascinating to watch all of it unfold. Thanks for the subscription, Knight5150. It's very cool. Very, very much appreciated. When does the Trail Maps Kickstarter start? I write right here, the Trail Guide to Aihrde. Love that title. I think Vic Danger came up with that earlier. lots and lots of maps. So you'll be in before we dive into everything, as we wait for people to kind of show up. As those of you who have been following Troll for a while, a few months now at least, Davis, who co-designed Castles and Crusades, creator of the world of Enzea, the inner world of Aihrde, he's been pumping out a lot of short adventures for the Patreon account. Those people who are subscribed to the higher or pledged or whatever you do over at Patreon get these every week. We're giving these little 1-page or 3/4 page adventures, something like that. And he told me the other day that he wants to map out the lands of Ursula. Now, the lands of Ursula, as you can see, are there on the right-hand side of the screen. He wants to map them out mile by mile. So, so I'm not sure that's practical, but
who said that?
I wish him all the luck. Davis.
That's what you were talking about earlier? Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the stuff he's been releasing on Patreon, it's like 5 by 5 square miles, and he's mapping it all out.
Oh.
It's really funny. It cracks me up, which is cool. It's good. Davis has, of course, for those who don't know, Davis was an archaeologist in another life and spent 18-odd years wandering around the West in various encampments, digging holes hither and yon. And he's bringing his knowledge of terrain to the world of Aihrde. Question: what books are a good start for learning about your world? Well, the big one is the Codex of Aihrde. It's not a starter's manual though. It's a huge 256-page full-color book with world map, the Lands of Ursula map. But I believe I know on our website somewhere there's a primer that can get you started. Or if you're into 5th edition, we've got this for Castles and Crusades, so it's presently sold out. We've got the Player's Guide to Aihrde, and that gives you a nice, hold it up for longer than 3 seconds. That gives you a nice kind of intro to it. But I'll get with Tim here in just a second and see if we can't post the link. I'm pretty sure there's a primer somewhere on our website. But I can't ever find anything because I don't ever go to our website. So I don't know. But we will get that for you. Yeah, dark light sounds very tedious to me too. I don't think I would map anything out mile by mile. Davis sleeps very little. Yes, yes, he did. Okay, so Tim. Okay, you're looking for that. Good deal. I was just about to text you. All right, good deal. I don't. It might be in the freebie section. I'm not sure where it was. I know we had one. If not, we need to get it back out. Let's see. I was an archaeologist in Egypt for 13 years. Very cool. You probably love talking to Davis. My background's history and Davis's archaeology, so we always kind of compliment each other in various and sundry conversations about this, that, and the other. Question for Davis: how long do I have to wait before it's no longer grave robbing and it's considered archaeology? He's got some pretty funny comments about that stuff. What he told me once, he said, mostly what you're doing is going through people's trash, stuff that they threw out and didn't get properly destroyed, and it's just laying there. It's it's really funny. He has a very colorful worldview, without a doubt. As long as you map what you dig, it's not grave rotting. There you go. Seal Grimper has answered your question, hopefully. So someday we'll see the Beginner's Gazetteer to Aihrde. I know it's out there somewhere. Hey, Steve. Oh, hey, Kim. How you doing? Yeah, we haven't seen each other for well over a year now, I suppose, because we lost the last Gary Con at Gamehole, so it probably been last Gamehole Con, which would have been a year and a half ago. It's crazy. It's crazy how much time has just slipped by. That's the nature of the beast, I suppose. I will be cracking a Dr. Pepper very soon. I don't know if Tim has had any luck. So the Gazetteer, is going to be something similar to this little guy here. This was the original one we put out in the year 2000, but the Gazetteer will be something similar to that. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Let me text Tim. I don't even know how to use this phone anymore. Where is Tim? I was just texting him a moment ago.
What do you want? I'm right here. I'm not chopped liver or whatever. What do you need?
Yeah. I'm asking Tim a question.
Yeah. Terrible. Bet you I can find it. What do you want in the Gazetteer?
Hold on.
Find it.
So let's he'll ask you. Tim, just pop that over to dude, man. I gotta run that by you guys before I say anything crazy. Say I run 3 Forgotten Realms, and they're looking for another world to start running. Well, we'll give you the real quick skinny of Aihrde, and then we will dive into the influences, where it's come from, and all of that business. We originally published the Winter's Dark, and what the hell is it called? After Winter's Dark, a fantasy campaign setting in the year 2000. That introduced everybody to the world of Aihrde. It was a 24-page book with a hand-drawn map by my brother Davis. He did a fantastic job on that. Hand drew it and colored it, and I think he may have colored it in Photoshop, don't know. But the world itself, when it was created for publication, when it was kind of fine-tuned for publication, the idea behind the world is to make it extraordinarily playable for gamers. Therefore, everything is very contained. We didn't create, and the world mythology didn't really call for any new races to play or any new monsters that you can play or any of that stuff. It's standard Dungeons and Dragons at the time. Castles and Crusades now, where dwarves and elves and halflings, gnomes and half-orcs and humans are your standard classes or standard races that kind of weave in and out of the whole the mythology of the world. We did that, and then we created the world. And I'll get to the history in just a second. We created the world so that you could take it and own it immediately. And to that end, essentially, and I'm gonna put this all in a quick 1 minute shell here. The world of Aihrde was created by the Allfather. The Allfather peopled it with various and sundry peoples, trying to create. The Allfather is obsessed with the act of creation, and he's always creating things. He creates the dwarves, he creates the giants, he creates the gnomes, he creates humans, and all of these are scattered about the world. Let me back up, actually. So the Allfather creates, he comes upon the void, and he begins to create. He just creates things. Whatever thought comes into his mind, he creates. The first things he creates are the Valar Akun. These are the greater gods. These are extraordinarily powerful gods, and they're just gigantic numbers of these creatures, and they have no purpose or anything. They just kind of float in the void. At some point in his act of creation, he sees the void is split open. He goes to investigate. The dragon goddess Enzea has split the void in her spinning, just genuflections, just constantly spinning around, rips the void open. The maelstrom, which is all of the physical matter of the world, spills into the void. And then the All-Father settles upon that and realizes, I can use this to create upon. So then he begins to shape mountains and rivers and all of these things. He begins to shape the world of Aihrde. In the beginning, the world of Aihrde is flat. The Valar Kun, those gods begin to be, they're attracted to this plane that the All-Father is fashioning, and they begin to settle here and there across the plane. The All-Father, of course, doesn't care about any of this. He just keeps creating. He's always trying to create the perfect thing, and he keeps doing so. He keeps working at it. He creates humans and gnomes and all of this stuff on the Forge of Creation. He eventually creates the dwarves, and at that point, he's satisfied with that act of creation. Once he's done the dwarves, he's finished, and he moves from the Forge of Creation and begins to wander around kind of experimenting. In the meantime, the Valar Kun, the gods, have begun to shape the world as they see fit, things that they want, beauty that they want to draw out, or horror that they want to. There's Corthane, there's Orindul, there's, yes, Grimpur, the dwarves. He was satisfied with the dwarves when he was finished. There's Mordias the Green, there's Orindul the Red God, there's all of these creatures that begin to kind of shape the world of Aihrde itself. They begin to war and fight with one another. The All-Father creates the Wall of Worlds, casts that around the world, and to keep the rest of the Valar Kun from coming into the world and messing with his creation. So the All-Father, time passes, there's wars amongst the gods and wars amongst the people. Dwarven kingdoms are founded. All of this, there's all kinds of mythology that we weave into this thing. Narhite, one of the Valar Kun, tricks the dwarves into fighting Orindul, one of the other Valar Kun, and he does it so subtly that he makes Orindul believe the dwarves have a chance of defeating him. So Orindul, instead of fighting them face on, he actually begins to corrupt some of the dwarves, creating goblins. These goblins eventually war on the dwarves, destroy the dwarven kingdoms, and one splinters through bringing sorcery into the world, splinters the mind of the All-Father. The All-Father passes to another state of being, which is the Sea of Dreams, and the world is kind of left on its own. The gods rise up, begin to rule hither and yon. More wars of the gods, people rise up and fall, in the whole nine yards. So this goes on for a little while, kind of a back and forth, until sorcery is fully interjected into the world. Now, in the very beginning, one of the things that was created by the All-Father, he didn't even intentionally create this. He had a thought. It was such a horrible thought of filth and violence and evil that he cast that thought out, and it was so vile that the other Valar Kun in the void drove it into what's called the Undeeps. Now, so there's this creature living in the Undeeps. Sorcery has come to the world of Aihrde. There's a mage named Trigal who learns of this creature, and he thinks to himself that he can capture this creature, beguile it, and bring it to the world of Aihrde and use it to conquer the world and rule as its, god, emperor, or what have you. So he reaches out through the winter runes. He reaches out, grabs this creature, brings him to the world of Aihrde. Instantly realizes that it's one of the Valar Kun, infinitely powerful. The Valar Kun is named Unklar, the Dark Lord, the Dark God. He proceeds to conquer the world, destroys the mage, the whole nine yards, and he rules the world for 1,000 years. Now, this 1,000-year rule is eventually, that's called the Winter Dark. This 1,000-year rule is overthrown by heroes in the Council of Light, and that Council of Light is actually my game table. Now, they overthrow Unklar, banish him back from the world, and then now the world is kind of reborn. It's 90 years after that event. When you buy the Codex of Aihrde, it's 90 years after the event. So the world has got thousands and thousands of years of history that's written down and outlined and explained for the DM or the CK or the GM or whatever you are. But it's fresh and new. It's just emerged from 1,000 years of tyranny and imperial rule by this dark god. So it's all new enough that you can take it and mold it however you want. I had a question the other day about the state of cities and towns in the world of Aihrde. And the guy said, I assume it's really run down. And someone else in the conversation said, well, no, the Empire has just built everything back up. It's either way you want it. When you buy the world of Aihrde, you own it and you go. So if the world has been, you can easily see it as an empire that ruled much like Rome, and at the end of Rome's Rome ground slowly down. It took several hundred years for its rule to end, and the cities began to decay long before the last emperor was overthrown. So you can easily say that's the way the lands of Ursel and the world of Aihrde are. Or you can go the other way and say that the empire actually kept everything up and things are new and functioning, and there's vestiges of the empire everywhere. So the idea behind the world of Aihrde, and specifically the Codex of Aihrde, was to create a world, one, that had all of the tools that a GM would need to actually play in the game, to play in the world. Meaning to say, if you have an elf that's 1,000 years old, you can go back into the histories and see what that elf lived through, what that elf experienced, what have you. So that was kind of the intent there, but also to give them something fresh that's theirs, that they can easily weave into their game and easily take advantage of, bring their characters in. And on top of all of this, there's no heroes in the world of Aihrde. You are the hero of the world of Aihrde. When you get into the Codex of Aihrde, you're not playing in the... You're not playing... Did we go? Did we die there? I got to click here to reload player.
That's on your end if you're watching something. Still live.
Okay, so people can still hear me?
Yeah, you're just frozen on the stream.
Okay. Should I stop talking? Or
no, you need to I don't know. Let me check and see what's on my end. That would be me. No, wait. There you go. You're moving. Robotic.
Okay.
That's internet.
Okay. There you go. So the idea, we had a little blip there. So the idea is that there's no particular heroes that you're in the shadow of, that your player characters are have to work towards or be part of their campaign or their adventures. The Council of Light, who overthrew Unklar, have scattered to the four winds. They've become demigods or whatever and are doing their own things. So now the world is yours. You can shape it how you want to shape it, and your players' characters should actually be the ones making the new, cutting the new rug, becoming the new heroes of the world. Now, that's really what it was all kind of designed when we originally published it. When I wrote it and designed it, it was designed really for gamers in mind. And interestingly, we released, as I mentioned, in 2000. We've not changed the published version. Now, my homebrew version of Aihrde has changed quite a bit, but the published version has not. We've done several printings, 2 printings in hardback, a folio edition, and the small original edition. But it's always the same year, and nothing has really changed. If you want to change it on your end, you're welcome to. But from Troller Games' perspective, from our end, we're not going to change it. We want you guys to. We don't want to mess up something you've been running for years, and suddenly we come out with a new edition of the Codex, and it messes all of your stuff up. So, going forward, we'll be doing all kinds of fleshing out the planes, fleshing out the mythologies, things like that. So that's it in a nutshell. That was a bigger nutshell than I intended, but that is the nutshell of the world of Aihrde. It is a Chuck, I still can't see anything. They are able to see me, I take it? Do I need to refresh?
Yeah, you need to refresh whatever you're looking at. We can see you fine on this side.
Okay, good deal. All right. I am refreshing. There we go. All right, looks it all better. Let's see. Did I miss any questions while I was rambling on? Dwarves are the perfect being. Indeed. Wow, gnomes are the second rate Steve mentioned. I think he may be coming around. So, Great Faith, you'll be glad to know that we are working hard to rejuvenating the image of the gnome in the world of Aihrde. So there you go. And lo, Melkor begot Morgoth. You're at 2 minutes, Steve. There you go. Dwarves are awesome. I love dwarves. With this mythos, how much of a fact is this in the world of Aihrde? Are they considered to be fact, or is this more of a matter of faith told by the perspective of its people? Not sure if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense, Darklight, at all, but I suppose how Earth has dozens of mythologies explaining the creation of the world, gods, and universe. No, that's a beautiful question. It is all fact. This is known by all the priests. You can't, in the world of Aihrde, you can't not, I mean, you don't have to worship the gods. You don't have to pay homage to the gods. Absolutely not. Sometimes it can be more dangerous to do so than not. On the other hand, if you do, you might get boons or, benefits or something. I'll frequently, like at the game table, if someone prays to Tefnut before they cross a river, I'll frequently give them a +1 on a dex check. But no, it's all fact. This is the understanding of the world of the priest. This is the way it all actually occurred. In the mythologies where you get some doubt is between the dwarven peoples and everybody else. So the Allfather who created the world was destroyed He was killed, according to mythologies, by Onlush, the goblin, when he brought sorcery into the world. The dwarves will tell you very differently that the Allfather was not killed. That the Allfather assumed that sorcery was kind of a moment where the Allfather took to transform himself into a different being, into a different form, thus the Sea of Dreams. As he's gathering himself, he's unmaking himself to remake himself at the end of the world to begin it anew. So the end of the world is called the Gonfod. So when the Gonfod comes, all will cease to exist, and everything will be sucked into a void and destroyed, and the Allfather will emerge and begin creation again. That's what the dwarves believe. That's actually the truth. But the rest of the peoples believe the Allfather is dead. So the only people who actually worship the Allfather are the dwarves, and an occasional human or elf or gnome or whatever. If you're playing the game and you want your character to worship the Allfather, there's no reason that you couldn't. That's kind of how it's designed. But the mythologies as written in the Codex is, I know exactly what you're getting at. It is not stories told of X. It is actually what transpired. So we have been partying for the past 90 years. When we start playing, exactly, the bombs. TLDR, can people just call up the gods and ask them how the universe works? No, but you certainly could go. There's like Arenal is this city where the White Order dwells, and it's an order of wizards that are dedicated to gathering knowledge, so they certainly could give that to you. Most high priests could, but if you really wanted the knowledge, you would go to a temple of Thoth, and there's very few of those, and that's the god of knowledge. And the priests and priestesses there would, expound upon all of this stuff to your heart's content. I think they're pretty sure in universe, but the canon of their past. Is anyone else's screen? Yeah. So that's where we're frozen. Yes, I hope I answered it, Darklight. Your question was very well. Perfect. Can air be contained in anything less than a coconut shell? Apparently not. How's it going, Hal, man? How you doing? Let's see. So if my character started suddenly worshiping Athena or something, my character would just be considered crazy or not get any clerical powers. Yeah, so to actually have a connection with the deity, to gain spells or something like that, you would definitely have to be inducted into a priesthood and go. Now, having said that, if you wanted to play if someone at my table wanted to play a cleric who didn't want to have a patron deity, that just wanted to worship the gods, I would be okay with that. I wouldn't particularly make them pick anyone in particular. They would have to have a knowledge of the gods to get their spells and what have you. We got a divine knight at the table now, and they don't. I guess he finally did pick a patron, but in the beginning he didn't have a patron. So you couldn't really do it unless you were trained by another priesthood, but you don't necessarily have to worship any one god or the other. Spoilers: the dwarves are right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, from the picture in the PHB, gnomes look like they're donkey-faced creatures. Is that right? Not the cherubic, chubby, checked little gnomes we are used to. Absolutely. So the gnomes, and they're called forens, and that is the name they call themselves. They are called I can't remember what the dwarves call them offhand. I'll look that up. But that's a brand new book. I don't want to look at it. I had that for other purposes today. But the gnomes call themselves the forens. The dwarves have a different word for them. And that word, man, I'm just struggling there. That word actually translates to the wooden-faced people. The gnomes came before the dwarves. The gnomes will tell you that they were the first of the races that the Allfather created on the Forge of Creation. And he was not satisfied with the gnomes, so he set them aside. Essentially how these creatures were created. He created the gnomes. He was not satisfied. He set them aside. Then he created the giants. He was not satisfied. He set them aside. He created the humans. He was not satisfied, and he set them aside. And then he created the dwarves, and he was satisfied. And when the dwarves were created, he began speaking to them. He began kind of lecturing to them about using the language of creation and teaching them things. He wasn't really talking to anyone else. But the others heard it. The humans heard it. The giants heard it. So they learned bits and pieces. Now, the dwarves, no one was really intelligent enough to understand what he was saying. The gnomes are special. They actually left. They didn't want to hear what the Allfather was blathering about, so they left. So the gnomes pick up and leave and head off into the wilds on their own, where they meet Mordias the Green, and she takes them under wing and teaches them things. They become very crafty and wood craftsmanship, all of that stuff, hiding in the woods and moving in and out of nature. And that is why the dwarves call them, let's see what it is, if I got it here. Oh, it's somewhere buried in this. This is one of the things we were talking about earlier. We need a much better index in all of this mess. The Forents is what they call themselves. I don't know, but the dwarves call them the wooden-faced people. Blah, 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 blah. It's somewhere in all of this goobly-goo. At any rate, maybe it's the Forents is the wooden-faced people, but that's what they're called because of their association with Mordias. So I am actually attempting to give the dwarves a better face. I've actually talked to Zoe Davos. She's been working really hard with me on a lot of the Aihrde art to bring a different look to the gnome and break free from the garden gnomes that we have all been kind of consumed by. Sadly, do we need to break? What are we doing?
I just want to just let everybody know about what we're doing tonight as far as the giveaways go for those people just joining. So we're going to have some giveaways. I'm actually going to do one here in just a minute, but tonight we'll be giving away a Gary Con Ethereal badge later on in the show, a $50 store coupon later in the show, 5 digital copies of a Storyteller's Thesaurus, and signed copies of your stuff, Steve, Houseless God, and The Mirrored Soul. Lots of stuff. I'm going to start one here in a few minutes while he's talking, and you guys just watch for it. You'll have to do exclamation point raffle. I won't try to interrupt him because this is a really, really good discussion. So go ahead there, buddy.
So Kothar asked, what say you to cosmic horrors who dwell beyond the scope of the Allfather's creation, things which predate his arrival and which challenge the very fundamental reality of what the mortals accept? Such an addition would evoke the mind-shattering history rewriting presence of Cthulhu and the other great old ones. Is there room in it for such entropic outer gods? No. The Allfather is the first. You might say the only thing that you could do with that, there's the goddess Inzea. So in a cosmological view, when the Allfather Inzea spins upon the void, rips the matter of the void open, the maelstrom spills in. The Allfather settles upon that and begins to shape the world from that. And it's a little bit more complex than I'm saying. Inzea passes beneath this maelstrom and she continues to do whatever she's doing. Now, she's an equally powerful force like the Allfather, but for destruction. The Allfather's more for creation, she's more for destruction. And this is interestingly, these worlds were created by me and Davis completely separate and apart from one another, and it really kind of mirrors my optimistic viewpoint of life and Davis's very pessimistic viewpoint of life. So mine's acts of creation and Davis's acts of destruction. It's really funny. But anyway, so when the Allfather creates the world, Inzea comes up to see what it is, and she's fascinated by it, and they do some kind of trade. She gives a clutch of dragons. He gives her trees, or I can't remember what happens. But she goes down and begins to shape her own world. So you've got, if you imagine a teacup and saucer turned upside down. So you've got the saucer and the teacup underneath it. Underneath it is the world of Inzea, and the saucer is the world of Aihrde. Now, when Unklar comes to the plane, he actually takes the world of Aihrde because he can't. It is inconceivable that he could defeat Inzea or the Allfather. I mean, these are the creators. So he takes the world of Aihrde and he wraps it around Inzea, the cup of Inzea, binding her within. Of course, Inzea doesn't know, nor does she care. She's doing her own thing, living in her own kind of universe. But also, the only thing you really could do with that is Inzea might serve as a power greater than the Allfather, as an old god like you're speaking about. Now, all of that said, the Allfather spent a limitless amount of time in the void before the Maelstrom was created, creating things. So you could very, very easily say that other gods like Unklar were created in the Undeeps, and they're scattered about the void, and they're summoned to the world of Aihrde. You could easily bring the whole Cthulhu mythos into the world of Aihrde. They wouldn't be greater than the Allfather, but that doesn't matter. The Allfather has moved on beyond the world of the Aihrde, nor did he ever really care what happened in the world of Aihrde. I'll give you 3 scenes with the Allfather. The first, before the world is created, when he creates the Valar Kun, there's 3 very powerful ones. Corthane, Orandul, and Mordias. And Orandul is prideful, and he's kind of later he's evil. I hate to describe him as evil, but he turns evil. But Orandul wants to know what their purpose is. Why? What are they doing here? What's going on? And he asks the Allfather this, and the Allfather doesn't say anything. He's hammering away, trying to shape something, build something, and this chunk of his creation flies off, burning into the void. Well, Orandul grabs that burning ember, and he attacks the Allfather, and he hits the Allfather in the leg, and the Allfather turns and looks down at him, and it's for the first time that the Allfather actually noticed these three Valar Akun, the Mordias, Corthane, and Orandul, and each of them took something from that encounter, took a different interpretation of what the Allfather was speaking to them. When the Allfather wasn't in reality saying or speaking, it would be like if a bug attacked, bit you in the leg, and you look at it and then you move on. So the Allfather moves on creating, and these three gods think that they've been given some kind of special mission by the Allfather, when it's not the case at all. The second encounter that I enjoy with the Allfather that kind of explains his scope, when Inzea gives him the first clutch of dragon eggs. He takes these eggs, and he's very fascinated by it because he's never seen anything like this, and nor could he ever even have conceived of anything like this dragons. So he sits over these eggs, and as they begin to hatch, the first one that hatches is a red dragon. And that red dragon doesn't move, it just lays there. The other dragons hatch and take off after a while, flying in which direction. And then Frafnog devours all of the eggshells of that's the red dragon, Frafnog. He devours the eggshells of the others and becomes extraordinarily smart. Well, when he begins speaking to the Allfather's fascinated and begins talking to this dragon, much like you would talk to your dog or your cat. And he just talks, and he speaks to Frafnog the entire language of creation. The language of creation is that magical language that governs the world of Aihrde. So he speaks the entire language to Frafnog, and Frafnog absorbs it. And from Frafnog's point of view, this dragon believes, I fooled the Allfather. I tricked him into telling me the most powerful spells and the most powerful language that existence knows. But the Allfather literally is like he's talking to a dog. He could give two craps one way or the other about what the dragon thinks he heard or thought he heard, and then he goes on about his business. So the dragon comes out of it very powerful, but the Allfather is completely nonplussed. He just doesn't care. And then the third encounter is when he creates the dwarves. The dwarves ask him. One of the dwarves boldly steps forward and says, "What is our purpose in life?" And the Allfather looks at him, kind of confused. He finished. He made the dwarves, and he was done with it. He was already moving on to another project when this dwarf spoke to him, and it confused him a little bit, and he smiled and then went back to work. And the dwarves took that as a message, a direct message from the Allfather, that you must devote your life to tasks, work tasks, noble tasks. If you're a dwarven fighter, you have to fight well. If you're a stonesmith, you have to work really, really hard. That's what they took from it. The Allfather didn't necessarily mean any of that. Probably didn't mean any of it. But that's what the dwarves took. That's actually the Andanuth, and that's the title of the histories of the world of Aihrde. It's called the Andanuth, and that Andanuth is the oath that the dwarves swore to the Allfather to do good and to work their lives through. It's all the mythology is very in depth. It's very approachable, though. I think now the reading gets a little bit heavy at places, but it's all very, very approachable. But it's very, very woven together. In the beginning, there was nothing. When the Allfather said, "Let there be light," there was still nothing, but now you can see it. There you go. Chubby Cheeks are coming back. I'm not sure what that's even in relation to. There you go. Oh, yes, I keep forgetting to say, if you have not, please give us a follow. We sure appreciate it. We're working pretty hard to expand our Twitch presence here and doing it all week, and we would love your support.
I'm going to...
Phantom, we're going to get to that in just a minute. Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm going to start this first giveaway. Everybody make sure you're followed. You have to be followed to join any of our giveaways. So make sure you follow us if you haven't. Like Steve said, thank you for following us. And we're going to start this giveaway for the Storyteller's Thesaurus. I'm sure that's what it says in the bot. But if it doesn't, that's what it is. And we're going to start it now. You'll be doing an exclamation point raffle as soon as it says go in the channel.
All right, so I'm going to answer.
Good. Go ahead. Go.
I'm going to answer Dark Light's question right after you say, are we already gone? Is it good?
We're live now, so the first few need to redo theirs. Not Chris.
Okay, so go ahead and hit enter raffle.
Yeah, because they went before it started.
Dark Light. Okay, and Dark Light, that actually works very well. The vast majority of people would have no idea even of what the Allfather is or have ever even heard of the Allfather. Only your higher priests, sages, wizards are going to know that. Most wouldn't know these gods. And the nice thing about the way the mythology is built, if you go to different parts of the world of Aihrde, now that's the map on the left there, each of the gods are going to have different names. It's the same god. Orendul is called Orendul, but over here he's called something else. That's just the way language goes. So this gives you even more freedom when you're running things in the world. It gives you more freedom to do what you want in the actual world and kind of tailor the world to your table. And that was really, I'm a huge fan of Greyhawk. I played Greyhawk for years and years and years. I stuck actually with the folio version. Even after the red box, what was that? From the Ashes, when the Ashes came out, I stuck with the folio version because I had already shaped the world so very much. I'd already shaped Greyhawk and changed Greyhawk so much that From the Ashes didn't fit. And I took a very good lesson from that in creating the world of Aihrde. I didn't want people like yourself who buy into it to have 5 years later to have to change all of their game to come up with the latest canon. The canon's going to stay the same. It's kind of locked in place as we go forward. That doesn't mean that later I may write some fiction that evolves the world in the fiction universe, but it won't have anything to do with the published versions. That stays the same. So Phantom has asked a great question about the Greyhawk tie-in. So we will shift gears now as we roll in from these raffles. I don't think I've missed any questions, but as we shift in from the raffles, we can shift right, or we get raffles, we shift into the Greyhawk. So I started gaming back in 1977 or some such. Now, I didn't play in Greyhawk until about 80, I think, or something. My brother Davis purchased the Greyhawk Folio Edition. I think that came out in 80 or 81. It was a little book and 2 maps, and I believe that was it. And I played that for the next 15 odd years, throughout the 80s and into the 90s, when From the Ashes came out, which was the big box set for Greyhawk that expanded all kinds of stuff. I didn't really buy into that. I used the gods out of it. I used elements, but I didn't change the history one way or the other. So we played in Greyhawk for a very, very long time. The game that we call the big game included Todd Gray, who played Luther the Paladin, Mac Golden, who played Aristobulus. There was a Rodney Hill who came and went, Charlie Sifford, who played Daladon, Christian Harris, who played Dolgon, and he played a cleric for a while. I can't remember. Mark Sandy, who played Jaren. And these are characters you're going to see in the Codex. This is actually the Council of Light. And later, Sarah Clem joined us. She played Fjorgen, and she played 2 characters, Sativa and Fjorgen, and then Laura Burns, she played Janaya. They joined us post Winter Dark. So the game we played in the kingdom of Kaomar. Nope. We played in the kingdom of Keoland forever and a day. This was all through the 80s. I started gaming in the 80s, but this group gathered in 84, 85, and then we proceeded to play what eventually became the big game. And we started in the kingdom of, it wasn't actually Keoland. It was was it Ernst? Is Ernst what is right next to Keoland? Is that Ernst, the Duchy of Ernst? Chuck, do you remember?
No.
I can't remember.
No.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've looked at my Greyhawk maps.
I got it right here.
But we started right in and around there. And it proceeded to be this fantastic adventure that it started in fits and starts. We did like 4 or 5 different campaigns, and they all fizzled and people died. But Todd and Rodney in the beginning, starting in and around Keoland, ended up on a ship. Ship gets shipwrecked on those islands. Man, I really need I'm going to have to get a Greyhawk map open in front of me to tie this into Aihrde because it's pretty fascinating, I think. If this thing will open. Okay, yeah. So south of the Azure Sea, in what is this? The Amedio jungles. Yeah. So those little islands down there. Todd's character Luther got shipwrecked. And we did this whole Ulek. There you go, Zombie Knight. We did this whole series of adventures as he and Rodney's character had to weave their way back across the jungles through the Hell Furnaces, and the Hold of the Sea Princesses and the Hool Marshes, the Dreadwood, and back to Keoland. By the time they did that, they had made it to second or third level or something. But in the course of those adventures, somewhere a deck of many things were found. And Todd pulled the card that let you get a barony and a small castle. So I created this entire barony of a stall. Todd, at this point, was developing his character more. He'd given his name the name Pendergrants. And then he settles into this barony of a stall. And then from that come hosts of adventures. We begin to build these story arcs that he's tied to the king of Keelland in some distant way. Mac joins us at this point, and he's a wizard. He actually joins us somewhere around the Hell Furnaces, if I remember correctly. And that begins to kind of build this campaign's whole structure. Now, sometimes I feel like I'm the one old Greyhawk DM who never ran a campaign based in Keelland. Yeah. I always loved that section of the map because of the mountains. As a DM, the mountains, swamps, and forests. There's so much of it in a contained area that it gave me just a tremendous amount of fodder to play as a DM. And I tend to, in those days, I really kind of reacted to whatever I was reading, whatever fiction I was reading at the time spilled into the game. So it was a constant kind of movement. So if you go to like the Great Kingdom, it's vast plains. If you go to Nyrunda, it's vast plains. Now we eventually got over there, and you'll see how this kind of unfolds here in a minute. Furiandi Furubonk area was great areas. We stomped all over the place. In fact, I believe Todd got killed in Furiandi by a red dragon. But at any rate, so fast forward through years of adventures. We played 2 to 3 times a week for about 6 or 7 years. About five or 6 years. And then I joined the Army. Now, by the time I joined the Army, they were about 12th level or something. So this is 1991, whatever the Gulf War was. They were about 12th level or somewhere around in there. Todd had already become king of Keelland. There was a county called Pendergrants that was part of it. They were fighting all kinds of creatures. And Mac had an apprentice called Rapscallion. And in the course, I had been playing this for quite some time. This apprentice named Rapscallion had this birthmark on his arm, a small dagger. And come to find out that this apprentice is actually the heir to the throne of the Great Kingdom. And when he discovers this, he turns on the party and goes to Roxy's to claim his inheritance. And at this point, he's like a 4th or a 5th level wizard or what have you. He joins up with a wizard named Trigal, and he and Trigal proceed to summon darkness to the plane, a creature that was inspired by the movie Legend. Clearly, the name comes from that, and that's just a fantastic movie. And then what proceeds is the series of adventures as Todd and Mac and Charlie and these guys try to stop Rapscallion from summoning Unklar to the plane. Well, they failed. They actually failed in the adventure. They were supposed to break the mirror. They didn't break the mirror. This pisses Todd off to this day because he wanted to break the mirror, but they chose not to because that was the portal that Unklar stepped through, or that darkness stepped through. And then I joined the Army. So that ends the game. It ends on a sour note. They not really sour, but it ended sour. Everybody was kind of upset. But I joined the Army. The war broke out. I joined the Army, and off I went to the wild blue yonder. Well, do I need to pause?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do the winners real quick for these. A good place.
Okay.
You've just left the war. Now, all right.
So,
we got 5 winners here. We're going to pick these guys. So, off we go to the races with Gone Ronan. Gone Ronan is the first winner. If you could please, Mr. Ronan, not in our Discord, please go in our Discord. There's the link. And join it and message me, Trollord Chuck. I'm on the right at the very top. It'll say I'm streaming. Just message me and I'll get you what you need to get your free copy. This goes for the other 4 I'm about to pick as well. So there's the first one, Gone Ronan. Next one's going to be King Kothar. Well. All right, looks like you're a double winner today, big boy. Next up will be Kai Brightwing. Congrats. So far, Gone Ronan, King Kothar, and Kai Brightwing. Most excellent. Okay, our 4th, Paul 94. All right. Welcome, Paul. Thank you very much. Our last winner will be Phantom, New Jersey. All right, that's awesome. Remember, guys,
There you go.
just join our Discord if you haven't, and PM me, upper right hand side, Trollo or Chuck. Yeah, and I think that's all I've got, Steve. I'm gonna let you go back to it. I just want to do the traditional spamming of the Dr. Pepper cans. I saw you open one. Have at it, buddy. Thank
Yes,
you, everybody.
indeed. All right. So I saw a few comments in there about with the Great Kingdom, good luck. But that actually ties into the way the game, because you're right. You know, claiming the inheritance was going to be next to impossible. So what he does is he hooks up with this wizard named Trigal, who has discovered some ancient evil that he wants to summon to the plane. That's darkness, and he has to summon this evil. There's no way they're going to win unless they have this evil. When they summon the evil to the plane, it goes south relatively quickly as that creature begins to slaughter and slay and cause mayhem everywhere. So I joined the army. I can guarantee if Todd were here and we tried to get Todd into the night stream, he would correct me on many of these details because it's been a long time, and Todd remembers like like a hot Mac 2. But so I joined the army, and we didn't know what was coming next. So we all except Todd thought it best to end the game. So we ended the game. We just declared, Todd's king of kill and what have you. Mac has gone off into the whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I joined the army. The war ended relatively quickly. Ended up in Hawaii, serving my term out in Hawaii. And I was bored off of my skull mostly, as combat signaler. I had about an hour work a day, and then it was, unless I was in the field. Now, if I was in the field, I was working 22 hours a day. But mostly I sat around, and then I began to kind of sit there and think about the game and think about all kinds of stuff, and the Greyhawk world, the things I liked about it, the things I didn't like about it, and really the only complaint I had was I didn't have better control of it. So I sat down. The first thing I did, I liked the concept of darkness. So I took that concept that originally the inspiration for that was definitely the movie Legend with Tom Cruise. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I wrote a novel. It's called The Voiceless Song. I've got it around here somewhere. And it was essentially what I wanted to do was follow the trajectory of this wizard who became evil, and why he became evil, and how he became corrupted. Kind of taking the whole, I guess, Saruman, if you will. What was the journey that Saruman took to get him there? So I wrote a novel called The Voiceless Song. And that led into my conception of what evil was, and after he evolves, he becomes Unklar. Now, once I had done that, once I had finished the novel, it took me about 6 months to write or so. I began reconceiving the campaign that we had played. I wanted to take it out of Greyhawk and just start forming my own world, and I began doing that very, very rapidly. So I spent the next year or so while I was in the army creating this mythological world. I took the rump of Greyhawk for the campaign side of things. I essentially had Unklar reshape the world, so it was no longer looked like Greyhawk, because it didn't look like Greyhawk. It was now the world of Aihrde, my creation, and I took the maps. I started drawing maps, sketching out maps, how things would look and how this would look. You still see the nice thing for me, the nice tip of the hat. I'm a gigantic Greyhawk fan. I mean, I never got it. I played Forgotten Realms some. It's a great setting, but it wasn't quite for me. Greyhawk was just really it for me. It was just a fantastic setting. So I felt like I should do a tip of the hat. And you'll see so these are the lands of Ursul. And you'll see here just a few vestiges of Greyhawk. You've got the kingdom of Kaomar and the Darkenfold, which is my tip of the hat to the Dreadwood and Keelland. And then you've got Austrag, which is my tip of the hat to Roxy's. Those are your vestiges. Those are the remaining pieces of Greyhawk that stay in the world of Aihrde for you Greyhawk fans.
Really? Did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had Rapscallion become the Emperor and summon this creature, he rebuilt Roxy's into this horrible tower of evil. And that I brought that over when I began putting Aihrde together. I brought that over in a major way. And then we began doing a little bit of play-by-mail. This would have been 93. The internet was just getting started, I guess, for commercial use. And then when I got out of the Army in 93, 94, whatever that was, we got the crew back together and started gaming again. And we picked the game up 1,000 years later, about 1,100 years later, in this newly shaped world, the world of Aihrde. And then it's a go. And then we played for about 5 more years, and they overthrew Unclar, cast him out in the last 30 years of his reign. That's the Council of Light. These are these guys, Luther and Aristobulus and all these folks. So a lot of the thematic elements because Aihrde wasn't finished at that point, a lot of the thematic elements that went into Aihrde came directly out of the game. In fact, if you go into the Codex, you'll see there's a year-by-year history of the Winter Dark Wars. That's those are the campaigns I ran. That I ran these guys through during the Winter Dark Wars. It took us about 4 years of gaming. I'm trying to get to the page. For those of you who have the Codex, let's see, that's going to be somewhere in all of this crazy mess. And probably 76, I would guess. So it's kind of cool. If you go to page, that's a little past that. Yeah. Where is it? So yeah, if you go to page 91, it's called The Chronicles of the Winter Dark Wars. Begins in 1119, and it runs for about 10 to 12 pages. And you'll see these, it's actually longer than that, about 20 pages. You'll see these games that 88 to 104, those are the games that we played to that the White Council overthrow. The Council of Light overthrew Unclar. And it was about 4 or 5 years of game. It's a lot of fun. So what was it? Alstrag, and what else is Holder from Greyhawk? So the biggest things is Alstrag, and then Kaomar, the Kingdom of Kaomar, and the Darkened Fold. The Darkened Fold is my tip of the hat to the Dreadwood, and Kaomar is my tip of the hat to Keeland. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. I did not come up with the name Kaomar. Todd, as King of Keeland, and he considers Keeland his. I asked Todd what do you want to name this kingdom? I want to pay homage to Keeland. What do you want to name it? And Todd came up with the name Kaomar. So that is on Mr. Todd Gray. I was hoping he would be here tonight. Some of you have met him. He's a great DM, and he's got a great handle on the game side of the mythology of the world of Aihrde. I played so many games, and I ran so many games that a lot of it run together. I can't remember some of the stuff that we were doing. Let's see. So with Unclar and his 1,000 Years of Darkness type deal, did your players just botch a campaign or something? Yeah, they botched it. I mean, there was a game, and we all remember it, where they had one opportunity to stop Unclar from being summoned to the world, and they missed it. And so he was summoned, and that ushered in the Millennial Dark. So that was their defeat. The way it played out, and I really needed these guys here tonight to say this. Todd did not get killed. He remained king of Keeland, but he removed himself to the Dreaming Sea. Aristobulus was defeated by Trigel and cast into the ocean. Daladon was slain. I can't remember what happened to all of the characters, but yeah, they essentially lost the game. And then at that point, we did a couple of games with different characters after that, but I joined the army, and then we just we didn't know what was going to happen. At the beginning of the first Gulf War, everyone thought it was going to be a big one, so we didn't know what was coming. So we just shut the game down, just in case, I didn't come back. But I did, obviously, and then we just kind of picked it up 1,000 years later. And the 1,000 years, and I wrote everybody these long histories of their characters during the millennium, and 1,000 years was my excuse to recreate my own world, to create what I wanted in the world. With all of the gods and all of these other things, and to create gods like I wanted them to be, and that's how Aihrde came to be. Its roots are deep in Greyhawk, Tolkien, and the movie Legend. You can't separate any of those things. Tolkien had a gigantic influence on my writing and the creation. And when I read The Lord of the Rings, I was so, at the very, very beginning, back in the late 70s, early 80s, I was so taken with the depth of history and the depth of feel there, and that when I got to Silmarillion, I've read the Silmarillion actually more than I've read the Lord of the Rings. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a big history buff. I was working on my PhD in history when I started this company, and abandoned that for this endeavor. So a lot of my writing, a lot of my creation in the world of Aihrde in the book, The Andanuth, actually comes through as kind of historical. And I took Tolkien as my example there. I wanted things explained. I wanted the knowledge to be there. I wanted it to all be readily accessible by myself and gamers and anyone, if I'm writing fiction on it and whatnot. So yes, blah blah blah. I think that was it.
Well, Bit Pumpkin wanted to know why you have a red circle up above your head.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute, Bit Pumpkin. Yeah, so out of all of that, out of that maelstrom of games, this insane amount of games, that came the world of Aihrde. And so we're still I don't even think we've overthrown Unklar by the time Mac and I began talking about Troll Lord games. So this is 1999. We may have. I can't honestly remember at that point. But there was tons of material written up, and when Troll Lord Games launched, we had 2 adventures that we were going to publish, and the printer told us if we had 4, they would give us a heavy discount. So Davis jumped in, said he'd write the 3rd one, but we needed a 4th one, and that 4th one turned out to be the After Winter Dark, a fantasy campaign setting, and I'm about 90% certain Mac is the one who said, Steve, you need to write that up. Matt Golden, co-creator of Castles and Crusades, and co-founder of Troll Lord Games back in the days. So I began taking all of these ideas, putting it together, creating my own world, sat down, and Davis being the archaeologist, he said, well, you got to have more than what you've got here, you need a world. So I began kind of shaping the world and fleshing all of this stuff out. Using him as a heavy source of information because he was already creating his own world of Enzea. So from all of that, from Greyhawk, from 15 years of gaming, 10 years of gaming, whatever it was, from movies, just lots of influences just spill into the world of Aihrde that bring us this 256-page full-color book that covers just about everything you could need. So during the 1,000 years, was there any technological growth from the people of Aihrde? So one of the things that came out at the table was how did people survive during the Winter Dark? The Winter Dark is literally the world is locked in the winter. There's snow and ice everywhere. How did they survive? Well, before the sun was created, before the Allfather created the sun, he created the moon first. Aihrde, she's called, very powerful goddess, and she lights the world in this very gentle light, a very faded light. Did we freeze again?
No.
Okay. In a very faded light, and then thanks for joining us, Chris. I very much appreciate it. So she covers the world in this very faded and gentle light, and there's growth. Mordias comes along and she says, this barren landscape is too ugly, and she begins to plant these plants that feed upon the light of Aihrde. So there's this whole, I think it's called the Falirda. No, that's not the right word. There's an age where the world of Aihrde is really just covered in these plants that only grow by the light of the moon. So fast forward, that all dies. All of it dies away. Most of it dies away when the sun is created, because the heat of the sun burns it up, and it's just it can't sustain the light. And it lives, in forgotten caves and forgotten valleys and stuff where the light of the sun doesn't touch. Fast forward a gajillion, million years and into the Winter Dark. Well, once the land is locked in winter snow and ice, and it's not completely covered in snow, just sections of it, glaciers, just like an ice age. These plants that were planted by Mordias and fed by Aihrde, the moon, begin to blossom again. So Unklar's people actually flourish on these plants that were planted millennia ago, with no intent that they should help Unklar's empire survive 1,000 years of winter. But in direct answer to your question, very little technology, very little technological development. I kind of followed Gary Gygax's teaching at this point. At this point, we were publishing with Gary. As I was really beginning to write the codex, we were already editing the Living Fantasy book that he put out. And Living Fantasy, for those of you who don't know, Troll Lord Games published Gary Gygax from 2000 to his death in 2008. A good friend of mine. But he wrote his 3rd book in the Gygaxian Fantasy World series. I got it around here somewhere. There she is. Is Living Fantasy. And Living Fantasy explores, that's this guy here. If you can get a hold of it, strongly recommend it. Living Fantasy explores technology and society in a world where there's magic. So there's not, I followed Gary's lead on that there's not much need for technological investment because you've got magic to get around and to do whatever and to heal and to whatever. So really the world of Aihrde is stuck in this kind of, or it has achieved, however you want to look at it, this era of magical fantasy, and that's where it is. There's no reason to go beyond that. You can plane travel, you can do all kinds of things without technology. I do allow, there's primitive guns up through muskets that the dwarfs use, but they're, I was reading the other day, the Comanches, arguably the greatest horsemen in North America, if not the world. These guys were fantastic on the horse. They used the muskets for a while, but quickly realized that muskets you couldn't load them fast. So we went back to bows. And that's kind of how I treat technology in the world of Aihrde. There's better things than these whatever guns or whatever, and gunpowders too. There's enough reasons that you can make, but no, there was not much technological advancement elsewhere. Did you draw any inspiration from historical sources? Absolutely. I read, not just mentioning the Comanche a second ago. I read a lot of medieval history, Roman history, Greek history. When I was in school, I was very focused on Central European, Austrian specifically, but Prussian as well. History, 19th century, fin de siècle. Man, I can't say that word anymore. The end of the 19th century into World War I. Well, since those long ago days, I just read history for fun. So I read whatever is interesting me at the moment, and frequently it's medieval history, but also Native American history. Absolutely love Native American history, and get into a little bit of ancient Roman and whatnot. So you'll see a lot of those influences coming through there. We do a regular Ask Me Anything on Tuesdays at 4, and we frequently talk about the history books that I'm reading, or I recommend people read, or that other people are reading and they're recommending that I read. But there's just tons of them, absolutely tons of them. And I like to imagine Aihrde not in the Renaissance period and not even the 1300s, but really about the 700s to maybe 1100s or so, the age of chainmail, for lack of anything better. But visually, I like the visual of it. Plate mail is a whole different ball of wax. It certainly is available in the world of Aihrde, but it's just from a visual perspective, plate mail is a technological step that I don't care to do. So mostly when you see me, if you read any of my fiction, which we've got a little bit of it out, we got 8 short stories on Aihrde out, and I've got another 4 should be out in the next few weeks. Chainmail, it's very rare it's going to run into anybody in plate. But yeah, so early medieval period. Let's see. 50% of the names are just stolen from somewhere in Europe. It's not 50%, but I certainly borrow names from Europe. When the world was originally created, when I was creating the world, I was actually in school and studying a lot of German. So I shouldn't say that, when the world was kind of taking shape, because I hadn't really dove into creating it. But I was studying German at the time, and obviously as an Austrian historian, I was learning to speak German, so there's a heavy German influence into it, and names were borrowed. Some names were very intentionally borrowed, because I like the idea of being able to, and I've never really explored this, we will eventually, but being able to move from one kind of reality to another, yet there's certain things in those realities that are the same. So you'll see in the world of Aihrde, there's the city of Avenant. If you played in my Greyhawk campaign, there was a city of Avenant there as well. And Avenant, of course, is where the papal feuds occurred during the Middle Ages. So the second pope ruled from Avenant. And I like the concept of these cities somehow being strung together through various realities. So some of the cities, some of the names were chosen very specifically. Others, I just really liked them. Let's see. Was also thinking where they came from, like Bronze Age and Iron Age civilizations prior to where we are in the timeline today. Even the PHB has Greek armor. A lot of fantasy settings are like we have been in the late medieval period for the last 10,000 years. So all across the world of Aihrde. So we're going to take a step back, and actually I'm going to answer Caleb Rightwing's question simultaneously, Dark Light. So Chuck, that red circle, Now pull it. Did you know where the lands of Ursula are? We're gonna test Chuck's knowledge of. Do you know where the lands of
Oh
Ursula are?
boy.
All right. So on the left-hand side, you're gonna see that big island south of the main continent, right? You see what I'm looking at? Just pull your circle down. I'll tell you when to stop.
Second here.
It doesn't want to move.
No, it's not that. It's just I'm old. I'm elderly. So, you know. We're doing Ursel, right?
Mm-hmm. The world map. Go to the world map.
Oh.
Yeah, Phantom. I think it was like 100 years, wasn't it? It was quite some time that the papacy was split in two. The French bishops supported the one pope, and the rest of Europe the others. It was quite a mess. You getting that circle moving?
Yep.
No. I need the other map. That's the lands. No, go to the. I want to show them where the lands of Ursel are on the big map.
Right. This is the big map here, right? I'm gonna put a circle around it, right?
No. So the map with all the oceans. Yeah. That's the map. But I want them to be able to see the whole map. Can you do that?
Yeah. Well, let's get rid of you.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Get rid of me. All right. What is going on here? Okay. So pull that circle down into the big map. Right. Perfect. Okay, so this is the world of Aihrde. This is about very roughly 24,000 miles across, or radius, or whatever the hell that when it's a planet all the way around. All right, now you've moved the circle, and yeah, you were good where you were a second ago, because now you're gonna have to move the circle again. But actually, skim it down just a little bit, because I want them to see the whole world. I really need to be able to do this myself to do it quickly. Yeah. But if you look up in the upper right hand corner. You're going to see, you shrinking it, Chuck, you with me?
Yep.
So you're going to see the lands of CERN, and this would be, to answer your question about Chinese and Japanese culture and Asian culture in general, that's where that kind of culture is put. Now, I don't know, I mean, my ignorance of that culture is extraordinary, so I never have fleshed it out much beyond mentioning what they did during the Winter Dark. That was about it. Because I really don't like to plunge into cultural stuff that I'm not too aware of, and it's not for whatever particular reasons in today's climate or whatever. I just want it done correctly. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So if you wanted to create that type of civilization, you've got it right there. That whole region is your playing field. Now, if you go to the left, Chuck, all the way across. You're going to see a blue and green island called the Gaul land. You following me? It's a big island. It's a very big one.
Somehow I selected everything on the damn thing. Right here?
No, keep going to the left, far to the left, just north of the lands of Ursel, with your circle. I don't think this is working very well.
Well, no, I didn't hear what you said. I was occupied with trying to move this thing. We're at?
Okay, grab your circle, go left, and just stop there. So that is the Gaul land. No, stop. Yeah, go back to that island. Up.
I got you.
This really isn't working. Okay.
I got you.
Well, you're moving the map. So, okay, he's not even close to it. All right, so if you look kind of we'll just step back. We won't worry about focusing in.
You're watching the stream, so remember I'm behind you, so I've got you.
Yeah, no, that's why it's not going to work as easy as I'd hope. At any rate, so that Gaul land is kind of a Norse Viking-esque type cultures, and if you go further south of where the lands of Ursula are, you'll see this large jungle, this continent covered in jungles and whatnot. That's Inclu-Naiad. Chuck, I know you know where those are.
Oh, yeah.
Those are, and again I'm saying it's very kind of stereotypical. Those are Central American, Mayan, Aztec type culture. So if you want that in the map, you certainly can do that. And then if you move to the center, you're going to see some really dark forests on this main continent. Right in there is where that's cultures that I've taken. I did a lot of reading on African history, and not the continent, but particularly in Central Africa and Congo and those regions. And that's where Black people would live. If you wanted to expound upon kingdoms like that, that's what you would do with those. So it's all there for you to take and to run with whatever you want to. All of these cultures have the same kind of technological development, so there's no one's greater or any of that mess. Now, Can you get to the lands of Ursel with your circle?
The other map?
So there's one part. Actually, yeah, go to the big map. Have we showed them where the lands of Ursel are on this map?
Let's do it.
Now let's do that. So on this world map, the lands of Ursel, that's going to be this map that you see behind me, and which Chuck will show you here in a few minutes. Yeah, you know where it is, right?
Yeah. You just have to wait a second.
I got no patience for waiting.
Yeah, right there.
Dark light. I'll get to that in just a second. Because yes, all right, when you're not on the lands of Ursel. So the lands of Ursel are to the left of where. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so that's the lands of Ursel. Now that is what you. Well, you can't see the maps away, but Chuck's going to show you in a minute. All right, having sucked all of that in, Chuck, go to the other map. I'm going to give him a second to get there, so I won't jibber jabber through. But real quick, Dark Light, to cover your question. During the Winter Dark, there's a tribe of people led by led by Luther's family that flee to the far western edges of this continent and create what's called the Empire of the Sun. It's really just a city-state, and the city-state survives the Winter Dark for 1,000 years, fighting the minions of Unklar as he does whatever he's doing. Now, when the Winter Dark Wars began, they came back, circling around the continent and returning to the lands of Ursel. But their culture had changed dramatically. It was very Romanesque, with a little bit of offshoot of Greek. So, settling in the lands of Ursel, you've got this kind of disparate, is that the right word? Strange country of Brindisium, which is very Romanesque, and this island kingdom of Tegea, which is very Greek-esque. And if you're a historian, you'll recognize, or a geographer, you'll recognize both of those names. Brindisium is a city in Italy, and Tegea is a city north of Sparta. Two of my favorite periods in the history of the world, so I brought them into the world of Aihrde. And what that did, that was very, very intentional on my part, to bring those people who want to play a Spartan-like character can do so, and those who want to play a Roman-like character can do so. So the circle here, that the bigger map, that's the world of Aihrde. The circle here is covering the lands of Ursel. The lands of Ursel are those sections of the world of Aihrde that I have completely fleshed out. And if you look on the lower right-hand corner, don't worry about the circle, Chuck, but if you look at the lower right-hand corner of the lands of Ursel, you're going to see this deep forested area and this island off of the coast. Now that is the center of the trade routes between the kingdoms to the east, the peoples to the east, and the peoples to the south. So if you were wanting to play any kind of cultural, whatever, a Japanese samurai or whatever you wanted to play, there is no reason that they could not show up in that land, in that area there, and from there go on and into the lands of Ursel. So it's all really built, and this was all very intentional on my part. It was all built to allow you guys, when you pick up the World of Aihrde, to play whatever you want and to develop the world however you want it. If you want a black character, no problem. An Asian character, no problem. An Indian character, no problem. You can take what I've written, mold it, and roll with it. If you want to play an Anglo-Saxon, none of it's a problem. So all of that's kind of intentionally done to allow that to happen. And that was the intent way, way, way long ago. And long before whatever conversations we're having today. All right, Chuck's giving me the finger.
So, no, you clarify. All right, real quick, while you're on a roll, I'm going to stop you for just a second. We're going to do another giveaway. The next giveaway is going to be for right. So, sorry about that. What was I going to do here? I got distracted. We're going to do a giveaway for 2 signed books by you. That's right. Believe it or not, everybody, he writes sometimes. And this is for the Houseless God and the Mirrored Soul. And he's going to sign
those
those
are
for
two
us.
collections of short stories I wrote.
Yeah, yeah. And they are trying to find. So here is one of them right here. That's the Mirrored Soul one right there. And then The other one is,
Almost raffling already.
of course, he is. That's how we expect for him is to raffle when he can. And there's the other one right there. Now, so I'm going to do this raffle. You guys, if you've not followed, please give us a follow because it won't see you if you don't follow us. But anyway, thanks for the follow anyway. But we're going to do an explanation raffle like Omote, so graciously showed us in there. Steve, tell them a little bit about the books if you don't care, and I'll start this giveaway.
I probably should have grabbed those suckers. Wait, look at this. Oh my God, I got one. So, essentially, there's two, soon to be third. This is A Houseless God. It's a collection of 4 short stories. The second one, A Mirrored Soul, is a second set of short stories. And the first one introduces you to the character of Ulrich Gunshoff. The second one is Ulrich adventuring into the Darkened Fold. And the third one, he's hopelessly lost, finds himself in a dangerous situation, and he encounters Ava, this redheaded ranger, who helps him kind of get out of this predicament. He ends up aiding her, and in short story 4, these two become fast friends as they fight their way through a certain incident. At the end of it, he's a kind of a well-traveled gentleman, and she's an extraordinarily experienced ranger, but she's never left the Darkened Fold. And they agree to set off on the road together. She wants to see the broader world. He wants the companionship, and off they go. So the Mirrored Soul is the next 4 stories are them wandering across the plains of Kaomara and into the north. And that's the Mirrored Soul. And then they meet up with a cleric at some point, a priest who ends up, he's kind of a bit of inebriated all the time, but he ends up in a fracas with a dryad, and they have to rescue that. And to do that, they have to go north. So the two of them wander on, leaving the priest behind. And the next 4 short stories will bring you up to the novella that I'm working on now. Those 4 stories are done. I think it's called, I had the title picked. It is called A Giant's Board. A Giant's Board will be out, I'm hoping, in the next month. We've really got all 3 of them done, all 4 of them done. I just need to finalize the edits on the 4th one, and it'll roll out. So essentially what I'm trying to do here is create a story arc that we all as gamers can associate with, but that's not so mired in the ethos of what we do at the table. The dwarf and the elf and all of this other stuff. They've met a dwarf along the way, and he's joined them for a very particular reason. He owes them a debt of gratitude, so he has to pay that. So I'm trying to weave these characters together in a logical, cohesive way, using Ulrich as the center, Ulrich Gunshoff as the center of all of them. So those 2, I guess we're doing printed copies of those. Those will be signed copies of that. Is that what we're giving away?
That's right.
Good deal. It's one of the things I'm hoping, as things settle down here at Trollord Games, which they never seem to do, I'm going to be able to dive into more writing for the world of Aihrde, shifting my focus a little bit into fiction, which is what I would really like to do. Let's see. Did I miss a question? I feel like I missed.
There was a
something
question earlier that somebody had that I thought was really good. Let me scroll back up to it. Grape had it.
Does the A series begin just as the rebuilding begins? Yeah. So yes, sort of. So if you look down in that in the same lower corner where I was talking about earlier, there's the Empress there. She calls herself the Empress of Aenach, and I won't dive into all of the histories of Enosia and Eithram. Those are the 2 tribes that war over these lands of Ursel. She's called for a crusade to drive all the evil from the lands. That's several years ago. So the A series, A1, Assault on Blacktooth Ridge, begins with that. You can have your characters on one of these crusades, but it's about 90 years after the fall. It's taken that long for these kingdoms to even kind of coalesce into what they are. And it'll let you go from at that point. The nice thing is they're so young that you could easily kind of dismantle any one of them and put it back together how you want it to look. You look at, I can't think of any of the kingdoms that have more than 5 rulers that have ruled in their stead. And another thing, just kind of a side point, this kind of jumped into my head. Another thing that I try to do in the Codex of Aihrde, it's divided into 2 books. The Andanuth, that's the history. That's the first 110 pages of it. The Almanac is the discussion of all the gods, the peoples, the countries and the terrain of Aihrde with things like the calendar, the timeline of events, the languages, the economic structures, and stuff like that. That's in the almanac. Now, in the almanac, and even in the Andanuth as well, but particularly in the almanac, when each country that you see on the map in the lands of Ursula, which you see on this map behind me, each country is discussed in detail, usually about 2 pages, sometimes 4 pages, and it gives you a brief history of how it came to be, of its people, its governance, its heraldry, stuff like that. Just gives you the bare bones of everything that you need to jump into this world, to this country, this region, and start playing. But I tried to weave in 1 or 2 adventure hooks, ideas that a GM could take and run with and build a campaign off of in each section. I probably didn't do it as well as I had hoped, but you'll find that the Codex of Aihrde actually has a lot of adventure hooks woven into the whole milieu of the text and all of that stuff. And we tried very hard in putting the Codex of Aihrde out, putting the world of Aihrde out, to make it a world for gamers. It's not just a world that I created, that me and my players played in. It's designed as a package that comes to you so that you can take it, own it, shape it however you want to shape it, and play in it without the publisher meddling with what you've done. That's really the goal here. And don't know if this was asked already. Are there any plans to farm out undeveloped regions of Aihrde to various writers to flesh out the outer cultures and nations? We've talked about that some. I know a friend of mine, he's been a fan for a long time. He wrote the Brindisium section. I've actually got it on the computer somewhere. I'm not opposed to that. I wouldn't mind exploring that a little bit with the caveat and understanding that I'm going to be pretty stringent on what comes across. I have, we talked about this earlier, I think, in the stream and Ask Me Anything today. I can watch almost anything. I can enjoy almost anything. I love all kinds of TV, movies, comic books, all kinds of stuff. But that doesn't mean they're the things that I love the most or remember the most. So if there's elements, I'm very particular on certain elements, like comedic stuff, like dwarves. I don't want any comedic dwarves at any point. It actually doesn't fit with the history of the world of Aihrde at all. You could play a comedic dwarf in your game, but if you were to write something that there's these, it just wouldn't. The Tinker Gnomes, all of that stuff. Not a big fan of any of that. That anything cute, really. Even the halflings are mean in the world of Aihrde, so are battle hardened or whatever. So with the caveat being that I would be pretty stringent on what is being written. It is definitely something we've considered, and because it's so much material. There's no gully dwarfs. There's so much material that needs to be done and needs to be explored. And I don't even want to detail it so much that, I specifically don't want to detail the world so much that you can't detail it yourself, or that you feel like I've infringed upon something you want to do after you've dove into it. But that said, there's still so many pieces of terrain just on these maps behind me that haven't been completely fleshed out, that I just have some vague idea about. But it would be nice if you're running a game that you come to this, the Velvet Wood, that have some kind of idea why it's called that, at least. Let's see. The A series is Fey heavy. Is there a supplement to help define the Fey and Aihrde? There is not, but there is going to be. We're working on the Gods and Monsters of Aihrde. That's one of the things that I'm hoping to get out this year. It probably won't happen until next year, but I'm hoping to get it all written this year. And that's going to explore all of that. I am a gigantic fan of fairy tales and Irish Fey, and even all of them. You look at any kind of society pre-industrial, it's going to have all kinds of creatures that it sees and speaks to, and all kinds of stuff. It doesn't matter whether it's Native American or European or African. It doesn't matter. So any of that stuff fascinates the living hell out of me. So I will be exploring that heavily in of Gods and Monsters of Aihrde, and it may not be titled that, but that's what it's titled in my head at the moment. So we'll see. One of the best examples of this world. Of this is your world is how to pronounce Aihrde. Yeah, I get that a lot. How do you pronounce Aihrde? I remember the first time someone asked me, they said, what is it? They said Aihrde, I think. How do you pronounce Aihrde? Is that, and all I said was, you bought it, you pronounce it how you want it, you own it. So
that's the best answer I've ever heard.
Whatever pronunciation, do what?
That's the best answer I've ever heard.
Well, it's yours. You own it. Go. The guy was cracking up. Oh, hey Ted, how's it going, man? Yeah, but that's it. You own it, go with it. Pronounce it however you're comfortable with it. I pronounce it Aihrde. If you say Aihrde, I'm going to know what you're talking about, so I'm good with that too. And honestly, what do the Germans? How do the Germans say Earth? It's
It's
Aihrde. It's Erde because that is a direct. I mean, you can see my studying of that. The original book and studying of German. The original book was actually called the Codex of Aihrde, which is German for Earth. And so you can see this giant influence that German had on everything that I was doing. For the record, I love the German language. It is crazy beautiful. I just absolutely love German. But I changed the spelling, kept the pronunciation, but changed the spelling for obvious reasons. Had a couple of guys in Germany write me that very nice letters, but that were like, "Dude, this is just the Codex of Earth in our language." So I changed the spelling of it, wove all of that into the language of it. I've got a dictionary, a Dwarven dictionary, which is the Vulgate. I'm really getting off topic here, but and all of that's kind of explored and covered and unburied in it. But yeah, once you pick it up, you pronounce it however you want. And more maps, especially battle maps. We need so many maps. I found some excellent Mayan traps you could use for your upcoming adventures. That would be cool. That would be very cool.
Inclinade.
I have personally
Inclinade.
Do what?
So that's free. I'm gonna tell Grape to give me those for my Inclinade campaign.
There you go.
Hey, I think the raffle's done. We need to pick somebody. Also, Grape had a question. I don't know if you saw it or not. I couldn't follow. I had some stuff going on here, but you want to know what's living on Icom's horn?
Do what?
Grape wanted to know what was living on Icom's horn. I don't know where that's at.
Okay. So Icom's Horn is way over on the other side of the main map of the world. You'll see that it looks sort of like a triceratops with a giant open mouth. You'll see this kind of horn sticking out. Icom's Horn is right in the middle of that, so it's on the eastern part of the continent. Icom's Horn is actually named that because there was a dwarf sailor in the Age of Dwarf. So there's an age that lasts, I can't remember, about 2,000, 2,500 years, where the dwarves are controlling the world. It's before the Great Goblin, dwarf wars that destroy all of the dwarven kingdoms, all but one. All but two. And Icom is a dwarf who dies over there, and his brother builds this giant mound and tomb to his brother, to Icom there. And it's called Icom's Horn from that point forward. So you've already got, it's called Icom's Horn from that point forward. And that's just an example of what you'll find in the Codex. When you're reading that stuff, that's a whole adventure in and of itself. I mean, the whole thing, suddenly you've got this dwarven tomb on the other side of the world that you can go explore and adventure into. And you'll find a lot of that in the Codex, just an absolute lot of it. And it was very intentional on our part because we wanted you guys to be able to just play this to the end of time. And I saw that comment, Ted, that you got the original Codex of Aihrde. That's very cool. That came out in 2001, long time ago. Good stuff. Good stuff. Did you study or research any specific linguistics for your writings and world creation? I did. I'm a huge fan in reading history. I believe his name is Ferdinand Braudel. I believe that's the gentleman. It's been a long time since I've read some of this stuff, but I believe that's the gentleman that I read. And he taught this school of history that believed that cultures are shaped first by terrain and then language, and the language is shaped by terrain, but the language plays a huge part of shaping the culture. So I took that to heart, and when I was studying Austrian history and learning to speak and read and write German, all of which is long gone, sadly. I could read just enough to get myself in trouble, but the German language is very precise, and it played into my vision of the way the dwarves would be, a very precise people, which plays into the Andanuth, which is their oath to the Allfather, that they would work and create things of a good nature. Not good, but as well-made nature. So German is a huge part of it. And one of the things I did very, very early on, and this was at Davis's insisting, I began creating a dictionary. So when I began creating names, they would be derived from the dictionary. The dictionary now is probably about, 20 pages or so, and it's the English translation of the Dwarven word and the Dwarvish translation of the English word. And you'll see a heavy German influence in the beginning. I've since broken from that, and I'm kind of creating my own sounds. I've even got a little bit of grammar built around it. Not great with grammar. Working with Tim Burns, who works for the company. He's our communications director, and Tim's got an English major. He's very good at all these things, and he's been working with me off and on the grammar rules to make sure it all makes sense. So yeah, I've got a bit of a dictionary. And just as a fun fact for the world of Aihrde, the language that everybody speaks is called the Vulgate language. It's the same as the common in any D&D game. But because the dwarves and gnomes and giants and humans were all created on the Forge of Creation, they all speak a variance of the Vulgate, which is a variance of the Dwarven language. So they all can communicate. So if you run into a stone giant in the world of Aihrde, there's a high probability that you're going to be able to actually talk to that stone giant like you would another human. From a geography standpoint, was any real world map used to influence the creation from the Aihrde map? So we're going to throw this down. We've said this in a couple of streams, so I think we can safely say it here. Absolutely it was. So when I really began to kind of conceptualize Aihrde and its place in a cosmological standpoint, in kind of a real world standpoint, I wanted to somehow, I don't know how, I didn't at the beginning know how, I wanted to tie it to Earth. I wanted to tie it to us somehow. And I really didn't have any good, clear conception of that in the beginning. So I created what's called the Rings of Brass. The Rings of Brass are the roots of this gigantic tree that the Allfather created. And these roots go throughout the multiverse. So they can easily go to the world of Aihrde. But then when I began to really shape the world, now this is really early on. This is like 1999, 2000, 2001, something like that. It struck me that what I really need, I need this to be well placed, and to make it well placed in the world, in our mythos, it needs to be here. So I made it Venus. If you look at the world of Aihrde, it's actually Venus. That continent you see is the supercontinent on Venus. If you were to flood Venus, these are the oceans that you would get. Now, obviously, it's going to be off kilter quite a bit. You know, we took the map and kind of shaped it and did what we want with it. But this here is Venus. A billion years ago, or however long ago you want it. And what this allows us to do, which we hope to explore, Jason Vey and I, the writer of Amazing Adventures, we hope to explore later in the year. If you're playing Amazing Adventures, the role-playing game, and you're playing a guy in New York City in 1933, there's no reason that you couldn't fly in a spaceship to Venus and explore the ruins of ancient Ursal cities there that the dwarves had built. So you can tie the whole thing together, doing fantasy games with modern games. You can be digging up ancient artifacts from the Codex of Aihrde in the dusts of Venus, because it obviously something went awry in the land of on the world of Aihrde, because Venus it spins backwards, right? Is that right? Or sideways? I can't remember. It does something weird with its rotation. I can't remember. And what that weird thing is actually the Gonfod. When the Gonfod came, it utterly destroyed Venus. But so it allows the whole thing to tie into this one. It's a nice kind of mythological thing that I can explore in writing fiction, but again, for the gamer, you can tie everything you're doing together. And the next step for us, of course, is to explore that from a future standpoint, as we do the game called Star Siege, which will come out under the Amazing Adventures banner. Star Siege will allow you to kind of poke around Venus and whatever's going on in Venus with the ruins of Aihrde.
So basically what you're saying is when you early on in the early days of cons, when young guys were out drinking, you came up with the idea of making Venus into a fantasy world. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a whole lot of drinking in those early days. From about 2000 to 2007 or so. It was a lot of drinking.
That's a really cool though, actually, man. I'm telling you, that when I first found out about that way back when, it blew my mind. I was just like, what? You know.
Well, it's one of those things, and I'm glad people appreciate it, because it's one of those things that, from a gamer's perspective, there's so much you can do with that. I mean, there's just so much you can do with it. And then when you couple the idea that Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures, Star Siege, Tainted Lands all use the exact same game mechanic, you can easily go from game system to game system and world to world to do these things. Now, I'm going to throw this out there for those who don't know. Now, we have not released it for the Siege Engine version of it, but in the I'm gonna go get these, and then
well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna start another raffle. So
all right, do that.
So here's a big one, guys. We're gonna do a giveaway for $50 store credit. Okay. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to win $50. So I'm gonna start the raffle. Do not do an explanation raffle until it starts. A few of you've missed it a few times tonight, and it's very, very important that you guys give a follow if you haven't, because the bot won't see it. And I want to make sure everybody gets a chance at winning this. After this, when we get closer to the end of the show, which is only about 20 minutes away, we're going to give away a badge to GaryCon as well. Them guys have given us a bunch of badges to give away for the next tonight. For the next 3 nights, we're going to be giving away badges. So, yeah. All right, so I'm going to go in here and click on this. Don't be typing anything except for probably Omo. He's probably already typing, but, you know. Let me clear this out here, actually. $50 store coupon, and we're going to go with this thing. And there you go.
Vic Danger, yes. So almost with the rings of brass, which are these tunnels that go through the cosmos, almost anything is possible. So I'm going to just give you guys a quick. So this is the Amazing Adventures book. This is a role-playing game that uses the same mechanic that Castles and Crusades does. Okay, that's kind of a modern pulp version. Now we did a 5th edition for you D&D fans out there, 5e fans. We did a 5th edition version. This has the lovely sateen phoenix set for the cover on this one. This 5th edition version, that's out as well. Go ahead, Chuck.
I have a question for you. I've been wanting to ask you this. That cover, do you think we might ever use it as an alternate cover for the regular AA book on down the road?
I don't know. I'm not. I haven't decided. Jason,
I know why you're probably thinking about that, but outside of that, just the way it looks, man. I love it.
It's a fantastic cover.
I mean, Jason, it just screams Amazing Adventures. You know what I mean?
It does. And Amazing Adventures is a multi-genre role-playing game. And if you look at the front, I don't know if you guys can see it, but he's got, what the hell's he got?
Tilt the top
Fantasy,
of it.
World War II, Cthulhu.
Yeah.
He's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Great fantastic stuff. Okay, so this book here, this is Innsmeat. This is C6 for Castles and Crusades. No, it's not. It's for 5th edition. But we got a CNC version out. But this is the world of Aihrde. The Innsmeat is a town in the Darkenfold that is the kind of the epicenter of all my games. I love Innsmeat. It's where a lot of games begin and end and all that stuff. Now, what I did is so Innsmeat is special, however. It exists in multiple realities, in multiple worlds at the same time. There's actually an Innsmeat in the world of Earth. So for the 5th edition version of Amazing Adventures, I did the Ruins of Innsmeat, and this is a little town that's in south central Arkansas that you can actually go to and begin your adventures. And there's a ring of brass there that can bring you to the world of Aihrde, and all kinds of fun and mayhem can develop from there. So we've already begun kind of tying these 2 world systems and these 2 game systems together, specifically through the town of Innsmeat. I'd love to write for Amazing Adventures. I literally write modern pulp. Give us a shout, Jason Vey. That's his corner of the universe. Jason does all of our 5th edition conversions from CNC to 5th edition, and then all the Amazing Adventures material. Why I do play 5e, I sigh a little bit each time I get one of those coupons in my inbox for 5e versions of TLG stuff instead of CNC versions. Well, it's one of those things. The game systems are very similar. 5th edition is a great game. CNC obviously is my game of choice. I love it. But the game systems are similar enough that it seemed just the height of silliness to not put a 5th edition version out. So almost everything that we've put out as a Castles and Crusades adventure has now come out or is coming out as a 5th edition adventure. So either game system that you're interested in, we've got you covered. Like Boosted Grape Eggs, because he's a cool dude. There you go. Might be hard to drag me away from Savage Worlds for my pulp needs. Savage Worlds is a great system. Those guys over there are great guys. Question: so what editions is the world? What edition? Wait, where'd the question go? What editions is the world in? What edition is the world in? So you really want to get the whole thing that you want covered is the Codex of Aihrde. That's for sale on the store now. I don't think we found the freebie. I haven't heard back from Tim, but that's really where you want to scoop that up to get the whole thing.
Could have found it by now.
I know we got it somewhere. Hold on.
Yeah, and that the sateen cover for Amazing Adventures is just for the 5e version. For the Castles and Crusades version, it's a different cover completely, right?
Correct. Yeah, the siege engine version of Amazing Adventures
There you go,
is
Siege.
this flying dude. But now this one's we only got a few of these left. We'll probably be revisiting that soon.
Mm-hmm.
We're everything's running out of. It's just crazy. Are there any lands in Aihrde that have only one specific race that occupies it, like a land with only minotaurs or something? Let me give that some thought for a moment. Not really. You got the Marl, the mountains out to the west. No, sorry, to the east, where you have a lot of orcs. But most humanoids don't have organized kingdoms that large, and the All-Father. So where the most of the humanoids come from, when the I shouldn't say that the goblins actually have several kingdoms, but when the All-Father, when the All-Father when his mind was splintered, when Onloosh created sorcery, discovered sorcery, and unleashed it upon the world, and it splintered the All-Father's mind, many, many creations that he had not created but he had thought about were unleashed. And that's where your orcs and gnolls and bugbears come from, all just kind of monsters in his, we all have these weird thoughts. Well, those are the weird thoughts of the All-Father that escaped when his mind was shattered, and he transferred himself, or whatever you want to call it, into the Dreaming Sea. And these creatures come to the world of Aihrde. The only ones that are organized are the orcs, and they have kingdoms in and around the Marl, which is this mountain chain far, far to the east. You can see it there kind of in a world map a little bit to the right-hand side above those jungles, the dark jungle green areas. I lost all my source books. I'm restarting with the 5e and others, and I appreciate the 5e content. Thanks, TLG. No problem. It's a great game. We want to support everybody's game habits, whichever way they are. And the nice thing about the Codex of Aihrde is system neutral. You can play Savage Worlds. You can get it. You can play Dungeon Crawl Classics. You can play Swords and Wizardry. It doesn't matter. Those are like the limited role-playing games I can remember the names of. So there's only ever one edition of TLG. There's only ever been one edition of Castles and Crusades. That is for sure. Don't get me wrong. I love that they're printing stuff for 5e alongside CNC. It's a good idea and great business. It's just good to give everybody what they need.
Question for you.
Need and or want. Yeah.
What would you think it was called? I mean, I'm inside Equid looking.
Well, it would have the word Aihrde in it almost certainly. It might be After Winter Dark.
Yeah, because I don't see anything like that with Aihrde.
See, I don't think it's in Equid. We had this site somewhere that has like downloads for the whatchamajigger, the ERB books. I can never find. Blah, 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 hold on, free downloads. Let's go there.
Oh, on our side.
I could be wrong. It may not be on here.
Because I want to definitely get that up there if it's not.
Yeah, it's not on here. I'm looking at it now. Here's the character sheets, Amazing Adventures Quick Start, CNC Quick Start, free previews, RPG Day. Yeah, it needs to go on this site. So I'm going to put this site up. Is it the
Castles and Crusades Aihrde fantasy campaign setting? That's not it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Does that sound right?
Is that free?
No, it's $10 on drive-through.
If that's it, Tim, let's do this. Let's get a coupon for that thing. See, that's what should be in the Equid store. Tim, are you listening?
I don't know if he's here or not.
Yeah, he's internet's been spotty. We got another storm rolling in, so he's getting knocked off.
It's not. It's on there. I mean, it's like open. It's not hidden or anything. Cast Crusades Aihrde fantasy campaign setting After Winter Dark, digital.
Okay, but it's not in Equid.
Well, let me look because it's weird. I searched for Aihrde, but let me do. Maybe he's got it in there as Winter Dark. Actually, let me look for Winter Dark. Hold on.
Okay. What we're trying to do, folks, is get you a free copy of the Quick Start for Aihrde. Get you kind of a dive into it.
And here, I think
back on the menu. I love that line.
Yeah, here it is for $5. It's disabled out of stock. That's not that. I need the digital version.
Okay, so send that to Tim. Okay, and tell him to just knock it to $0. Or if you know how to do it,
I can do it. I just need to find a digital copy of it.
Find the digital, knock it to $0, and
I found it in here for $28.
Check it out.
I got it though. I got it. Just give me a second here. We'll turn it in.
All right. So what we're going to do is put up. Now I'm not going to speak. I haven't looked at what he's about to give you guys free for a long time, so I'm not sure what's in there.
Disclaimer.
But it should give you Yeah, disclaimer there. We're going to put it up here in the stream. It's going to be free as soon as Chuck fixes that. So just go download it, enjoy it. It'll give you a kind of a look into the world of Aihrde. Check it out. But again, I haven't looked at it in a long time, so I'm not 100% certain what's in there. How much do I have to donate for you to do a siege engine Barsoom? Man, Kothar, that has been a lot of conversations. There's been a lot of conversations about that. So we'll just put that right there. Is there an Aihrde map that places all the locations of each TLG module or adventure? We're actually, Doc Shoulder, we're going to discuss that tomorrow in World Anvil. There is. It's an online resource. And Tim and crew have been working very, very hard to have everything posted so that you can go and look and see where each of the adventures take place. We have found, as soon as that was done, we have found that we're really favoring 2 locales and ignoring everything else, which is not cool. So that's one of the things Davis has been doing. Davis has been trying to get out there and spread the adventure love across the lands of Ursel, as opposed to just in the same 2 spots. But yeah, that's what we're going to discuss. If you can join us tomorrow. What time's the stream tomorrow? 4:30, 6:30?
I'm looking. I think it's 4th. Tomorrow's stream is from 4 to 6.
Okay, so from 4 to 6, we'll be sitting here and we'll be discussing the World Anvil, the World of Aihrde on World Anvil, and other BTT programs.
And we're gonna give away some cool Aihrde stuff, like some maps, digital maps, and stuff like that.
Oh, so. Very cool.
So here's the download for the free thing. If it doesn't work, let me know immediately. One of you guys in chat attack that and see if it works. I think it's right, but you never know.
Yeah, Tim and I'll be doing the talk tomorrow, so that's good. And Chuck will be with us, of course.
Yeah.
So hit that link right there, and that should take you to the After Winter Darks fantasy campaign, and give you a nice kind of preview of what's in the Codex of Aihrde. Again, it's a very detailed setting. It's got absolutely mountains of material. For those of you just joining us, it is the first half of the Codex of Aihrde, which is a 256-page book. The Andanuth is the history of the world, the mythologies of the world, and the second half, the Almanac, which is about 120 pages of it, is just chock full of information on the peoples, the gods, the countries, and the continents, and all of that stuff. It just gives you a huge amount of material. Seems like it's working. Epi said he got it.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a character in there that Twitch doesn't like, so I got a way around that though. All I got to do is click a button right here. I've learned. If now the internet's like dragging forever. So while that's happening, I want to pick a winner real quick.
Oh, that's right. We're winding. Oh, good luck. Almost 10.
Yeah, this is for the $50 store coupon. The winner is Johnny Nomad. Johnny, you can hit me up in Discord. I know you're in our Discord, so message me for that. Yeah. And so for whatever reason, my internet's slow.
You are mighty welcome, Virtual Wizard, Greek Puppet. Very much appreciate you grabbing that thing. What is your quick advice for folks who would like to publish their own campaign setting? Well, there's a lot of... I see my thing spinning. I don't know if people can hear me or what's going on. I guess they can.
Yeah, you're okay. My end, anyways.
Okay. It depends on if you want to self-publish it. First thing I would do is get on Discord, start building up kind of... and interested people, talking to people about the world, run some games, do this type of stuff. Just start getting the word out there, and maybe shift to Indiegogo or Kickstarter to actually fund the setting itself. Or if you're really kind of deep into it and you think it's worth getting scooped up, shop it around. Check out with some of the publishers. TLGs, we focus obviously on the world of Aihrde and Enzea, but there's a lot of publishers out there that you might be able to find a home for it. But if you want to self-publish it, I would begin writing it and begin putting material out there. World Anvil, actually, I'm pretty sure allows you to do, you set up an account and you can put your world up on it and start running adventures in it. And then you can start marketing it on Facebook and on Twitter and Discord and TikTok and whatever else is, whatever other social media, MeWe, whatever you happen to be using. So, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to do it now. There's a lot of avenues that you can pursue to actually get the word out. And certainly talking to publishers like myself and streams like this, I'm always happy to mention and promote people's material. So, if you ever do get it up on World Anvil or wherever you want to present it, and really I would go with World Anvil, give us a shout, man, and we'll throw it around our networks and let people, go over and visit it. it's the gaming community is a fantastic, huge community, and everyone seems to get along pretty well. And I love being in it, so I love supporting just about anything we can. So this my internet going round and round and
Yeah, it is your internet. You're fine. But
okay.
while we're doing
So
that,
yeah, TikTok. We are very new on TikTok. Did you see my video that I posted, Chuck?
I haven't saw it today. Did you do it while we had the break? No, I
Yes,
haven't
yeah,
seen it
it's
yet.
yeah, yeah.
My wife will tell
So
me, I'm
go over
sure.
to it. Let's see if I can get the site. We are very new to TikTok. We're just beginning to explore it. Tim got us set up over there, and Davis and I are beginning to poke around at it. And I put up a video today where and Omut, you'll appreciate this. I did some, not quite, but almost some river crossing. It was very entertaining. It was an entertaining weekend up at Tim's place. So Tim, you're in that video as well. You come wandering in and out of it. But lots of fun, a whole lot of fun. Check us out on TikTok.
I need to add that
Good
to
Lord, we're all
Linktree. Actually, remind me to do that tomorrow. I'll forget, but I need to put that on.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the link tree. It's a very good thing.
I love it too.
It's a very
Yeah.
good thing.
All right. So while we've going to let you get about 10 minutes to ramble on here, real quick, guys. We're going to do one last giveaway. If you've not followed us, please follow us now because I want everybody to have a chance to this. This is really a really nice thing that Gary Con's doing. We're going to be there next weekend. I'm going to be posting out over the weekend all of our events. We've got 6 things on there that we're doing. Plus, me and Steve and Jason and a couple other things. But we're doing a game next Friday. We're doing. We've got panels all toward the end of the week. All kinds of cool stuff. We're doing one on working with Gygax. There's a couple of premium events on Saturday and Sunday where Steve's going to be in Discord with a private room with people like Luke Gygax and Ernie Gygax, Alyssa Faden. They're going to be talking about Memorial Tomb on Saturday. There's a lot of great stuff. And Steve reminds me, I heard, I didn't see, because I was gone last night, that you displayed the sort of props for the Memorial Tomb Kickstarter.
The box, yeah.
Might
yeah.
want to have that on hand for Saturday, so that might be something to think
Okay.
about. Just thought about that.
I'll definitely do that. Yeah, Kane Kothar, she was really, it went on even after that video. That took us about an hour and a half to clear all that debris out of the river. And the whole time she was shouting for me to get on there further and further and further.
Was she really? I can't wait to watch that now. I bet my wife's already seen it, guarantee it, because she's at work. And, she just watches TikTok.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was absolutely hilarious. But I did not fall in the river, which is very good because it was moving extremely fast. And I will say this, I had my cowboy boots on, and they did not leak, which is a huge testament to the fellows who just resold them. So a very, very huge shout out to Charlie's Shoe Repair over in Sherwood, Arkansas. They did a fantastic job.
all right, so there's an information link for anybody that's curious about the badge we're giving away. That's a link directly to their site in case you still haven't signed up or whatever. I'm going to start the giveaway here in just a second. Make sure you are followed and make sure you do explanation raffle once I start. Okay? Not until then.
All right.
Which is basically now.
All right, good deal. Yeah, yeah, Omut, I made my checks. It was really funny. It was quite an entertaining day, without a doubt. But I got to question my wife sometimes when she's encouraging me on to doom. So we are raffling away a Gary Con badge, right?
Yeah. It's I have to make sure that I pronounce this correctly because I don't want the English major coming after me like he did earlier. Ethereal badge. Okay? Ethereal
there
badge.
You go.
All right?
We'll go with that.
Even though he's in Arkansas.
Well, you can be like,
so.
Hey, you're working for Troll Lord now, so we just make words up, so it's good.
That's what I was trying to tell him, but he doesn't agree. I guess because he sits in that cabin, he don't agree with me on that. He got kind of mean with me about it. So just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, well, we're all gonna have a troll moot out there pretty soon. We're all gonna descend upon the cabin.
The cabin.
Hang out with. Yeah, he's got a nice set.
Yeah. Any more questions from anybody else? I was going to say tomorrow. You talked about it a little bit. Tomorrow we're definitely going to be going over World Amble and the World of Aihrde in deeper details. Tim's going to be on. I think he's going to be on.
Yep.
We talked about that actually. Isn't he supposed to get tornadoes tomorrow?
Yeah, he was going to come down and join me down here where we've got a little bit better internet than he does way out in the wilderness. But I mean, it's a lot of storms coming in, and they've been getting that river that you see
I
me
saw
in on
that.
that TikTok video. That's the creek in front of his house that spills into the river that's next to his house.
Should
So
we
it's
should we maybe switch him around or something? I mean,
well, he and I talked about that. I don't know. And once the rain comes in and the wind and possible tornadoes, his internet may be spotty. It's hard to say. But weather here in Arkansas is crazy. It could be raining. It might not be wet. Who the hell knows? So I told him let's just plunge on, get him on here at 4 whenever we're doing it. 6, yeah, 4 to 6. But if it looks really bad, we may push it back or something like that. We'll see.
okay, because I'm just gonna have. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to know what you want to do. So you want to do it regardless if we do it later than earlier. I got you. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be all right. But I'm an eternal optimist. Is who I am.
Well, I tell you what, you guys are braver than I am. I feel for you down there. So
Well,
that's
we've been
why
getting
it's
a lot
called
of
Tornado
water.
Alley. You know, there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah. Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
we're getting off that.
Closest one I've ever seen. One skipped in front of the house, right in front of us. I watched it bounce over the neighbor's house and tear the roof off of another neighbor's house.
Well,
Dark light. It should be pretty accurate. It's just a condensed version. There's going to be some stuff that's a little bit changed in the later edition, but it's not going to be a lot. The core is all going to be the exact same.
Kim said he'll be there if he
see.
can. I've seen that road when it's flooded, and he drives across that. He's insane. I mean, he needs to make a TikTok video of him driving across that. Seriously, tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Make it happen.
He's got a low water bridge to get to his place. He's got a low water bridge that's what is it, Tim? 100 feet, at least 100 feet long, I would think.
Long.
And on normal days, it's fine. I mean, you're 6 inches, 8 inches above the water, but you get a little bit, and that thing. Now, his dad would plow through that water, just wouldn't even hesitate, plow right through it. It's really funny. Though I'll tell you, a cop got his squad car was flipped about 3-4 months ago on that low water bridge. Yeah, it's you get some people up in the mountains. They don't fear all of that. Aihrde weather. Where's the tornado alley of the lands of Ursel? So if you look at in the lands of Ursel, the lands of Ursel are. See, Omu doesn't know that I can answer this question. The lands of Ursel are actually fed by the Anvil wind, which goes off of the Amber Sea, picks up a huge amount of moisture, rolls across the Darkened Fold, the Southern Rhodope Mountains, and all the way across Kalmar and the Massif, and it begins to break apart when it gets across the Sea of Chenault onto the lands of Enosia over there. The colder weather would connect with the Anvil wind up in and around the lands of Zeitz, so that would be a greater risk of tornadoes there. My wife is sending me TikTok videos. She's greatly amused by that. So if you're going to get some tornadoes, it would probably be up in that region or over in Augsburg, those lands there. Though, you know, it's funny. I don't often bring tornadoes into the game. I don't know why. It's very interesting. Tarkiln would see them too. To have a tornado, you really have to have cold front hit a warm front, and it gets all churned up and whatever tornadoes do. And we get that a lot because we get crap comes out of Kansas and Nebraska, across the Ozarks, collides with crap coming up from Texas, and it's the hot from Texas and the cold from Kansas, and it just causes a big cluster of tornadoes right over our house.
Okay.
Yeah, Omo, just as a quick, I was kind of making that up as I went. The Anvil wind is accurate though, but
Hey guys.
and the Trader's wind in the south.
Sorry.
Do what?
There's a little small problem with the file for that. So evidently that really is old because it's a 7-zip file, not a normal zip file, and a lot of people can't open that, especially in Adobe. So, you guys that can't open it for whatever reason, I will we'll get a different version uploaded on there tomorrow, I guess. It's because it's not a .zip, it's a .7 whatever. You know what I mean for that
It shouldn't even be a zip. It should just be a PDF.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting PMs about though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah, I was like, I was wondering why we had a zip file up there. I understand we have a bunch of stuff in something or whatever.
Well, you know, some of this stuff goes back so far, it's nuts. And so Epi just put up a 7.zip, or will that open it, I guess? You just need to right-click and select unzip with 7-zip. Okay, if what's called a jet max is involved with a tornado, Lord help you. Yeah, we don't need any tornadoes. We are in the season though. It's a free program. Yeah, so apparently hit this 7-zip deal, and you guys you'll be good to go.
Okay.
But we will look at that and figure out what's going on with that. It should literally just be a PDF.
Oh, it's a
but
bunch
Lord
of
only
files,
knows.
Phantom said.
So that's probably going to be the Lands of Ursula map. I'm going to guess. I have no idea. Would you?
We've given away half the store.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
It's been so long. That's so funny. I will almost guarantee you, Tim ported that over from our old store, and didn't even think anything about it. You know, he just ported it over.
Sure.
When he rebuilt the Equid store, let's see, is that? I'm trying to find the link. I'm kind of curious what we're giving away.
I can. Well, let's see. It's.
Oh, that's interesting. It didn't come up for me, the link that you posted.
That's really weird. Here it is. Yeah. For whatever reason, there's something weird going down too, because like I can't even post it. I try to get a shortened URL of it, and it won't even shorten it. There's something weird there. But anyway, according to this.
Okay, I found it.
Did you find it? Because I don't know what else is in there.
Let's see. You know what I can? This is so fun. This is hilarious. I can't actually buy it because my name's on the store. Son of a bitch.
I could try and buy it, I guess. Let's see.
So no, I can get it in just a second. I'm just jumping in the back end.
Okay. Yeah, you can.
So it does have the political map in there. That's one of my favorite maps. Peter Bradley did that. Kind of gave you an idea of where everything is. Also, it's got the migratory maps in. Very cool.
Oh, I forgot about those. I don't even think I've got one of those.
Yeah, those have never been printed except in a Kickstarter. And it's one of those things that you can see if you'll look at where the arrows come from on that migratory map. That's where they begin. That's where the Allfather created. That's the Forge of Creation. And that's where he started all of this gobbledygook. Let's see what we're doing. Oh, these are downloads. That's not what I wanted at all. Catalog TLG8016. That's an odd. Man, that is an old stock code. Good heavens. Boy, that is a zip file. That is funny as crap. Good heavens.
And of course, it was Omote that had the problem first, the first PM I got.
Of course.
I would have assumed he would have had it, to be honest with you. I'm kind of disappointed that he actually had to go download something. Saying.
Right. Let's see. It contains the migratory map, both of the Lands of Ursula maps cut in half, the Cosmos, the fantasy setting, political map. Very cool. Now that's good. That should give you guys a huge jump into the world of Aihrde, and you can see where you're going to go with the Codex of Aihrde. I mean, it's going to give you. I'd have to actually. I don't have that zipping program here, so I'm going to have to download that to see what's in there. You know what? I actually might be able to outsmart myself. Hold on just a second. If I go into the files, go to Aihrde 8016. There we go. Look at that. I actually have it right here. There's the primer. See, I'm pretty organized. This is pretty amazing.
Hey, get something together for tomorrow then, so we can give it away tomorrow, but not without the problems. Be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can fix this. It's all on PDFs right here. I have no idea why it's zipped. No idea. Oh, yeah, good deal.
All right, so I'm going to draw the winner for the GaryCon badge. Just for a short note, tomorrow we'll be on here 4 to 6 Central, unless we have to go a little later. If we do, I will post something out on Twitter and Facebook and MeWe and on Discords and such because of the weather. Like Ben Metal said right there, if you live in Arkansas, you're screwed tornado-wise.
Yeah,
but anyway,
just the way it is.
So yeah, we're going to do that, and we'll have some more giveaways and talk about World Ammo and how we're trying to put the whole world up where you can actually use it. I use it in my games, and it's fantastic, so I love it. But anyway, and I'm talking about face-to-face games too, but that's because I can't remember everything like Steve. I can't ask where Tornado Valley is or whatever. So, and then
so
Thursday,
I just want to let me say something real quick, Chuck. So if you go to page 46 on that PDF there and through page 52, So those 6, 8 pages, whatever that is, that is expanded to about 120 pages in the Codex of Aihrde, just to give you an idea. So
okay, I had no idea. That might be the size I need to read then, because
yeah,
you're a writer.
yeah,
That's all I'm gonna say
definitely
about
read
that.
the primer.
All right, so anyway, and then Thursday we're going to be doing GM Tricks the Trade. Steve's going to talk about, if you've never played an RPG or never ran an RPG tabletop, he's going to tell you all about that. Thursday we'll do some more giveaways, and then Friday we're going to talk about Castles of Crusades, and then Steve's going to run an online game for a couple hours right after that and slaughter everybody with a river. So.
Everyone gets to drown.
Yeah,
Bent Metal, we get some wicked weather here. There is no doubt, absolutely no doubt. All right, I think that's it. I guess.
Ted Wallerstadt, he's won the free badge to Gary Con. Look at that.
Oh,
hey Ted,
there you go.
looks like you're going to meet up with us anyways.
There you go, perfect. It's spring again. Yep, tornadoes are coming. I don't get to hear a good old-fashioned Southern accent in Thailand, so please keep talking. I grew up in the Quad South Florida, to be exact. I'm going to have to introduce you, Ben Metal, to my brother, Davis. He's gone to Thailand about 4 times now, and he absolutely loves Thailand. So he would probably track you down. Very, very cool. So, yeah, I will be back again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Please join us. We're going to talk a little bit more about Aihrde, but focus on World Anvil and VTT and all of that stuff. There'll be more giveaways, etc., etc. And we'll just jibber jabber some more. Lots of, what did you say, Willie? Lots of gibber and lots of jabber.
Yeah.
We'll make it all happen. So please join us, and we'll be back again, whatever day, Thursday, and then again Friday, and with some games. Good. I'll show them all the sleazy places. There you go. The Southern Twang. Yep. Check that TikTok video out. You'll hear my wife's Southern Twang as she encourages me to jump into the river. So.
Hey, get a hold of me in Discord. There's our Discord. If anybody else hasn't membered, please join if you want to. It's one of the most active Discords I've ever been in for gaming. I'm very proud of it. We have a lot of great folk in there, and they talk about all kinds of cool stuff. Ted, just get a hold of me, and I'll get you hooked up with your badge. Really want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. You guys are awesome. Really.
Thank you all. We sure appreciate it. Thanks for the follows and all of that. And we'll see you tomorrow.